Brian Abel, CNN correspondent, thank you for joining us from Washington.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So what is the mood like on the ground, Brian, with 3 days to go?
Yeah, we can tell that it is tense. You know, we see at the various rallies when we're talking with voters that there's a sense that this could go either way. This is a very close and very consequential presidential race. So everybody is waiting, holding their breath until Election Day and maybe a couple days after to find out exactly how this race is going to go and who's going to be the next president here in the U.S.
Could you please tell what are the factors coming into play in voters' decision-making? Could you outline the primary themes and
absolutely.
trends?
Economy, and then reproductive rights, and then back to the economy. That is what all of our polling and all of our interviews have indicated, is that is the #1 issue on voters' minds, is the economy right now.
With 3 days to go until the election, there is a growing perception that Trump has gained momentum. What's your take on that? Do you agree with this assessment?
I think only time is going to really tell. We can point to our polling, our polls of polls that bring an average of all the different polls at different points in this election cycle. And what we can tell you is that for the most part, this race is within the margin of error, too close to call. When we look at the battleground states, for example, recent polling that was just released this week by CNN, a poll of polls, shows that Harris has a narrow lead in some of the blue wall states. Those are the states that have historically gone Democrat, voted Democrat, but then flipped to Trump in 2016 and then back to Biden in 2020. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Harris is up in both Michigan and Wisconsin, according to our most recent polling, 48-43 in Michigan, and then 51-45 in Wisconsin. But here's the kicker. Pennsylvania, a dead tie, both at 48% right now. So it's showing that this race is, again, too close to call right now. And
given the tight race and the close polling, how much do you trust the polls? How confident are you in their predictions?
You know, I think that there's a saying in politics that the only poll that matters is the one on Election Day. So that is why, you know, we have those margin of errors in polling. You look at the science behind the polling, the questions that were asked, how they found the voters, the potential voters that they talked to, and you go from there. But it's going to all come out on Election Day as to how accurate these polls were, how close of a pulse we had here for this election.
As for Trump, if Trump loses, do you see a scenario where he would deny the results or even declare victory as he did 4 years ago?
Well, what we can point to is that both campaigns have already begun mounting legal teams in anticipation of challenges to this election. So that shows you two things. One, that there is the possibility of that happening again, like what we saw back in 2020, but then also that this race is just really close and it might come down to a few votes in battleground state A and battleground state B. This might be the most contested presidential election in American history.
Brian Abel, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you.